more environmentally friendly way to care for your lawn with Natural Lawn. Natural Lawn has been treating Minnesota lawns for more than 20 years with organic-based natural products that feed the soil without unnecessary chemicals. That means an envy-worthy, healthier lawn that's safer for your family and your furry friends. Natural Lawn has no contracts and is 100% satisfaction guaranteed. So let Natural Lawn handle your lawn care so you can enjoy your lawn. More at naturalawn.com.
True healing happens from within. When you learn to tap into the innate wisdom of your body, transformative healing can begin. Discover the intimate relationship between your mind, body, and nervous system. Learn simple practices that create transformative changes in your body and being. Join us at resolvepainguru.com for your journey into healing from pain, exhaustion, and stress. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's Resolve Pain Guru.
Shatter stereotypes and perceptions with the unveiling of Alternative by Frank Buffalo Hyde on Thursday, May 9th at All My Relations Arts. Explore Hyde's bold and satirical take on Native American identity and cultural appropriation. From irreverent pop surrealist paintings to sculptures and found objects, Hyde's work disarms with wit and insight. So embrace the unexpected with the electrifying exhibition, Alternative. Experience opening night on Thursday, May 9th from 6 to 8 p.m. at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. That's 612-373-3333.
Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. This is Robert Pilot of Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake. I'm here to ask you for your support. Finding honest Native-centered news is not easy. But with your support, we're able to provide accurate information about Standing Rock, Line 3, treaty violations, and COVID-19 in our Native communities. Please visit Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon and donate if you can. That's Native Roots Radio Network on Patreon. Pinigigi, and thank you for your support.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 54, and Friday sunshine with a high of 85. Don't miss the amazing roast beef and so much more at Maverick's Real Roast Beef. And don't forget to add fries or onion rings for a winning combination. Maverick's is located in Roseville on Lexington Avenue, 1 mile south of Highway 36. Visit their website at mavericksbeef.com.
Portions of Native Roots Radio may be pre-recorded.
It's a good day to be indigenous. Get up, stand up.
They are going to become more brutal.
Couldn't cut, hit me cut again.
Because all the hippies were trying to be Indians anyway.
They're going to become more repressive because it's a matter of dollars and their illusionary concepts of power.
Hey, Victor.
We must live in balance with the earth.
And also with recent happenings at Wounded Knee.
I am awake.
Welcome to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Wakanja Hade. Hey, Cudahy to all my friends and relatives in 4 directions. You are listening to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and I'm your host, Robert Pilot. Hey, we discuss local and national Native news and events, and as you know, Native issues are human issues. And human issues are Native issues.
Yes, you are right, Dega. And this portion of the show is supported by StrongHearts Native Helpline.
Okay, I don't hear Haley. Hey, well, Rachel, can you hear me?
I can hear you, and I hear Haley as well.
Oh no, I'm having
Awesome.
problems hearing. Shoot. Let me jump back and come right back, Haley, if you don't mind.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. Hi, Rachel. Well, great to see you, and thanks for joining us today.
Yes,
I'm here.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
Yeah, I'm here with Rachel Carr-Shunk, who is the Deputy Executive Officer of StrongHearts Native Helpline. And we're here today to talk about just, the helpline and everything kind of going on with MMIR and Awareness Month and all of that, because it is May. So.
Absolutely. I'm super excited to be here and share some information about StrongHearts. And yeah, we can get to it. Hopefully Robert can hear everyone now.
Yes, I can. I can hear everyone. I can hear everyone.
Okay, good.
Awesome. Hey, Rachel, thanks for so much for coming on, and it's exciting always to have a great organization like yours on. Let's talk a little bit, for our listeners, just a little quick overview of what Strong Hearts, a Native Helpline is.
Sure. So StrongHearts Native Helpline is a culturally appropriate response to intimate partner violence for our relatives across Indian country. We are a 24/7, 365 days. We have advocates on the line that can provide all kinds of assistance and support to our relatives who may be experiencing intimate partner violence. But not just our relatives who are experiencing that. We also take calls from maybe helpers, right? Maybe family members of people who are experiencing violence, or just people looking for more information on how to support our relatives that have experienced that. You can contact our advocates 24/7, like I said, at 1-844-7-NATIVE. But we also have text and chat advocacy as well. So they can text that number. It's 1-844-7-NATIVE. Or you can chat on our website at www.strongheartshelpline.org.
Yeah, what a great organization, and we love joking around. We kind of started around the same time, Native Roots Radio and Strong Hearts, and I've seen you all over. As a matter of fact, in our tribal Ho-Chunk tribal paper, the Hoduk, there's a big ad in there, and so you guys are reaching a lot of our Native people. I think what's really important that there's a coalition between like MMIR and Strong Hearts Helpline, and let's talk a little bit about that in this little first segment.
Sure. So, when we talk about MMIR, well, first, let's just really define how we define it. It's missing and murdered Indigenous relatives. So we try to be inclusive of all of our relatives who may have experienced intimate partner violence or violence that has resulted in our relatives going missing or, unfortunately being murdered and things like that. So there's an intersection between the services that we provide for people that have experienced intimate partner violence and that missing and murdered piece. And there's a lot of intersections, and it's a very complicated topic. But, I think across Indian country, in all tribal communities, we know of our relatives who've experienced this type of violence or this crisis, right? And that's the level that it's at. It's at epidemic levels of crisis, because every community that I've been to, you can name multiple families that have experienced this type of violence or this crisis of MMIR. So our advocates, our response is just to promote, peer support, promote safety, promote access to healing.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things that's really our mission here, so to speak, at Native Roots Radio is to educate our allies and educate people that are listening to. There's a lot of things that happen to Native Americans that I believe a lot of people don't know, and even our allies don't know. And part of that, this has been a story affecting us since colonization and the exploitation of what was originally native land.
Absolutely. You can't really talk about our experience of violence and oppression and the exploitation of our land without talking about colonization, right? And then you start to think about how colonization has impacted our laws, our policies, our institutions and structures. And they're all really designed to oppress Indigenous people and our BIPOC relatives. So we talk about, removal, right? Assimilation policies, forced sterilization, the breaking of treaties, boarding school and adoption era. All of these have really shaped the way that we exist today, and the way that either we try to access safety, try to access justice, try to access healing. So you can't talk about our current experience of intimate partner violence or MMIR without talking about colonization and why we're here at this spot today of having such significant rates of violence in our community, high rates of our relatives going missing and not having, a similar response that other people, when they go missing, that type of either criminal justice response or media response. So, I mean, it's all connected. And like I said earlier, it is a very complicated and complex discussion. I think we could probably talk for hours on end about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I know we talk a lot about these issues, but it needs to be talked about. And Native American society did not just start out this way, and this has been a process, like you said, with a lot of the colonization, boarding schools. We could go, like you said, we could go on, and that's a thing that it just didn't happen, Rachel. And I hate to play the victim role, but it happened to us, and we're the byproduct of a lot of trauma that our relatives in the past have gone through.
Absolutely. I think, when we talk about the experience of trauma, people think of like acute trauma or something, recent trauma, right? When you're talking about Indigenous people, you have to remember that historical trauma and the impacts of that, right? I mean, there's the science behind the epigenetics of trauma and how that is passed down generation to generation. And like I said, the cycles of trauma that exist within our communities results in this experience of a different experience of violence, a different experience of access to systems, a different experience of access to justice that is unique to our communities and our relatives.
Absolutely. Hey, Rachel, hang on for another segment. We're talking about StrongHearts, Native Helpline, and also just a little history for our listeners about where we are, where we've come from, and where we'd like to go. Hey, this is Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back after this short break.
When we heal from our traumas,
when we face our fears,
let go of our addictions,
when we relearn our values,
when we live our teachings,
respecting our elders,
cherishing and honoring our children,
when we honor and take care of our spirit,
there will be no room left for sexual violence.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
As nature awakens this spring, let's awaken to the call of protection. Native brothers and sisters, let's bloom together by getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Let's nurture our heritage and safeguard our futures, one vaccination at a time. So be a vaccinative this spring by protecting yourself and others in our Native community. Whether you're due for an updated vaccine or just getting started, all COVID vaccines offer vital protection against severe illness. For our elders over 65, the latest vaccine is recommended by the CDC to maintain protection. So spring forward with strength, Native communities. Embrace the renewal of the season and safeguard our traditions by getting vaccinated against COVID-19. For more information, including details about clinics offering free vaccines, visit vaccines.gov. That's vaccines.gov. This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health.
Hi, this is Representative Sharice Davids from Kansas. I'm Ho-Chunk, and you're listening to Native Roots Radio.
And we're back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by StrongHearts Native Helpline and the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Yes, it is, and we really appreciate partnering with StrongHearts Helpline. Hey, Rachel, we're really having a great conversation here, and I just like the process of calling in. I just want to throw this out here because I know last time we talked about this, and it's really important for our listeners that are going to use the service or think about using the service about the anonymity. And we joke around here as ho-chunks that we're all related, and so that's good in a good way. But sometimes when it comes to secrets in the family, things like that, and abuse, you need an outside person to talk to.
Sure. And I think that's something that is what really excites me about StrongHearts, because I think I talked about it last time, as I am relatively new to StrongHearts as an organization. But I come from working in my tribal community, right? So I'm well aware. A lot of the times we are actually truly related, right? And people maybe don't want to come to get services from their sister, right? For a number of reasons, and that's okay. And so we exist as we provide that culturally honoring and culturally appropriate care to our relatives, but in a way that is anonymous and safe for someone to come forward and say, you know what, I am experiencing this. Unfortunately, there is still so much stigma around the experience of violence in our communities. So the fact that we're anonymous and confidential is, I think, really paramount to promoting a safe response to a lot of our relatives who aren't comfortable with going inside their community to get support.
Right, and that is so important. And one of the things too that I really, as being we talk about our sacred animals, and our pets are our family here. And I know to help, there's Strong Hearts will help connect you to people that because that's a big thing with the pets. It's not just having your kids and bringing your kids if you have to go to a shelter or whatnot.
Sure, yeah. So, and I think one of our best response, or our best level of advocacy, is peer support. But another thing that we have at StrongHearts is our directory. We have a directory of all Native service providers and also non-Native providers, because unfortunately there are communities that don't have Native resources. But we have a directory that is, we can do warm handoffs or warm pass-offs to these other service providers that may be able to provide more direct services, whether that's emergency housing, transitional housing, support with pets, and things like that. So we have a phenomenal directory that we can lean on for when our relatives are ready to move towards getting some of that direct service that we can't provide on our end, but we do have that handoff ability.
Do you ever feel that some people call and they just need to talk it through? Because when you're in a fire, so to speak, you don't know how hot it is until you hear it from your own mouth, go to your own two ears, and bounce it off somebody.
Absolutely. I mean, our advocates are trained in talking about relationships, healthy relationships, unhealthy relationships, and abusive relationships. So a lot of the times people, they feel a certain way about something, but maybe they're just not sure, right? And so they can give our advocates a call and talk through some of the things that they might find concerning, that they need a little bit of support from our advocates to say, yeah, that's falling on the spectrum of an abusive relationship, or it's unhealthy at this point, or this is a healthy relationship. So there is that opportunity to kind of talk through some of the things that our relatives are experiencing, and our advocates are trained to help them go through that relationship spectrum and talk through it.
And that's great for all ages because as you were talking about that, well, that's really good for young people. But I think all ages it's really helpful to bounce that off and what's going on in my life here. This doesn't feel right, and I'm not used to trusting my gut.
Sure, absolutely. And I think that's, the reality of the experience of violence is a lot of the times, communities, individuals can think that maybe something, they have some kind of feeling in their gut that it's not normal. But maybe they've witnessed it, right? And maybe that is their normal. And so to have the opportunity to talk in an anonymous way, in a confidential way, to advocates who one are trained in understanding the dynamics of power and control, but
Mm.
also the dynamics of Indian country or indigenous experiences, right? So it's really important that we have that response of one knowing intimate partner violence and all the dynamics that exist there, but also the other considerations that we have as indigenous people.
Right, and where does somebody and I was thinking when you were saying this too, that you have a possible abuser or controller in somebody's life. What happens with them? Are they able to call in and check in? I mean, I don't think I've ever really asked that question.
That's a really great question, and absolutely, our advocates are trained to respond to our some of our relatives who use violence, right?
Mhm.
And this is if they're reaching out and they're seeking, am I using abusive behaviors? Am I using controlling behaviors? That is, they're going to get a respectful advocate on the line who wants to support them. And that's our reality is we know that we care for all of our relatives and we want safe and healthy communities, and that means providing support to our relatives who do use violence.
Wow, that's really awesome because I can kind of picture maybe some people having some sort of low end confronting each other
Hmm.
and then say, "Well, why don't you call StrongHearts and see if this really is what I'm saying it is. If it's confirming that this is controlling, if you have my keys or and don't, or want to know where I am 24/7 or have me on your cell phone so I can track you and it's only a one-way street." They can maybe tell their boyfriend or girlfriend or significant other, "Hey, call this hotline and they'll let you know."
Sure, yeah. And that's, we want to be able to use our advocates in a way to help educate our relatives, whether
Mhm.
like I said earlier, if it's the survivor, a family member or friend of a survivor, a caretaker, or someone who uses violence, right? So we do have advocates trained in responding in all of those ways.
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool, that we have this opportunity and that, we're amplifying it and you're amplifying, this help. What were we doing before this? I
You know,
mean, it's
yeah,
crazy
that's
to think about it.
Yeah, that's a good question. And thankfully, this conversation, the creation of Strong Hearts really came from a working group of the National Indigenous Women's Resource Center and the
Mm,
National Domestic Violence Hotline, determining that we know we have the statistics about the disproportionate rates of violence happening, but they didn't have the data or they didn't have indigenous people calling the helpline, so they knew that there was a disconnect. So thankfully, what came from those conversations is Strong Hearts Native Helpline, knowing that our relatives are much more comfortable reaching out to indigenous advocates who are trained in intimate partner violence and historical trauma and cultural considerations. Um, and they're more comfortable reaching out. I think I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but before we were 24/7,
mm.
our helpline was actually Monday through Friday when it was very young, right? Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, very limited hours. And we know that violence and victimization happens at all times and every day. Um, and so prior to rolling out our 24/7 option, relatives could call in, and if it was outside of those 9 to 5 hours, they would get an option to transfer over to the national helpline or national hotline, excuse me. And we found our data supports that wasn't happening. Even though that was an option, that wasn't happening. They were either calling back or not calling, not connecting to the hotline, the national hotline. So that even further told us we need to exist in a 24/7 manner so that our relatives can reach out at any time and connect with an advocate who understands them.
Wow, really exciting. We're about to end this segment, and Haley or Rachel, I'd love to hear how we can connect, because again, we have so many people listening to us over the nation here on radio.
Sure, you can reach StrongHearts at you can call us at 1-844-7-NATIVE, or you can also text that number, and you can chat at www.strongheartshelpline.org, and also give our website a visit. Even if you don't want to chat, you can check out some of the resources we have, our blogs, and we actually have printed materials that you can request on our website, and we will mail them to you free of charge. So if that's something if you work in an office setting or you work in a community where our relatives may frequent, check out our website. We have those materials available for you.
Wow, always great talking to you, and I just can't speak highly enough, and a big gratitude towards StrongHearts, because this is so needed in our community. And it's big Pinigigi. Thanks for coming on, Rachel. Can't wait to see you again.
All right, miigwech. Thank you.
Hey, Native Roots Radio. Up next, Governor Evers, and then later on, Wendy Pilot.
As we gear up for American Indian Celebration Month in May, it's crucial to prioritize our health, especially with celebrations on the horizon. If you start feeling off, like a fever, a tickle in the throat, or heavy fatigue, don't ignore it. Take an at-home COVID-19 test right away. And remember, if you're not feeling well, it's okay to stay home. Your health comes first. A quick note on COVID testing. The Minnesota Department of Health's free COVID-19 at-home testing program has ended. But don't worry, if you're uninsured, you can still find no-cost tests using the CDC's COVID-19 testing locator. If you have health insurance, you might be eligible for free tests or reimbursement for testing expenses. Just ask your local pharmacy or health insurance provider for more information. Stay informed, stay protected. Let's prioritize our health this American Indian Celebration Month in May and ensure our communities and elders remain safe and healthy. This message is brought to you in partnership with the Minnesota Department of Health. Visit health.state.mn.us.
Minnesotans age 65 plus might qualify for Health Partners Minnesota Senior Health Options. The plan includes personal support, coverage for medical, prescription drugs, and dental, plus over 30 extra benefits. Eligibility information is available at healthpartners.com/oneplan. Health Partners is a health plan that contracts with both Medicare and the Minnesota Medical Assistance Medicaid program to provide benefits of both programs to enrollees. Enrollment in Health Partners depends on contract renewal.
Doherty Family College at the University of St. Thomas is your pathway to a bachelor's degree. Located in downtown Minneapolis, Doherty Family College offers an affordable education that includes free textbooks, a laptop, meals, career coaches, and a Metro Transit pass. As a full-time Doherty Family College student, you'll benefit from mentorship from St. Thomas faculty, along with paid internships and support from Minnesota's largest private college. Ready to turn your dreams into reality? Apply now at dfc.stthomas.edu. Doherty Family College, your journey to success starts here.
The city of Minneapolis is now on Native Roots Radio with Minneapolis AIR. AIR stands for American Indian Relations. Guest host Christine McDonald talks to people about important things affecting the city's Native communities. Minneapolis AIR dives into topics like public safety, public health, elections, and so much more. Tune in to Minneapolis AIR on Native Roots Radio from 5 to 6 p.m. on the second Wednesday of every month, right here on AM 950.
AM 950 KTNF, St. Louis Park, Minneapolis, St. Paul. Dive into a world where tradition meets innovation, satire meets symbolism, and Native American art takes center stage. All My Relations Arts and the Native American Community Development Institute proudly unveil Alternative by Frank Buffalo Hyde. Alternative is an electrifying exhibition that uses satire to push boundaries and demand a closer look at the vibrant complexities of Native identity in today's world. So embrace the unexpected and challenge norms with Alternative by Frank Buffalo Hyde, showing now at All My Relations Arts in Minneapolis.
Does your partner make fun of you in front of friends or family? Emotional abuse is sometimes hard to recognize, and an abusive partner may say they were just teasing, but teasing can escalate into something more harmful. If you have questions or concerns, StrongHearts can help. Call or text 1-844-762-8483. That's 1-844-7-NATIVE. Or chat online at www.strongheartshelpline.org. Safe, confidential, anonymous, 24/7.
With a look at your AM 950 weather, I'm Patrick Lilia. Clear tonight with a low of 54, then Friday sunshine with a high of 85. Queer Me Out explores the vibrant history of Twin Cities Pride Tuesday, June 4th from 5:30 to 8 at the W Minneapolis at the Fauché. Ticket information at am950radio.com. Tickets 50% off now through Friday with code QMO50.
You're listening to Native Roots Radio. This is Spirit from Reservation Dogs. Get up and listen.
Welcome back to Native Roots Radio presents I'm Awake, and this is Robert Pilot.
This portion of the show is supported by Native American Community Development Institute, or NACD, in Minneapolis.
What a great organization. Hey, we, Haley, are in drive time, and we're really excited to be in drive time. People in their cars driving, and it just so happens I'm in my car driving too. So before I get in an accident, why don't we check in with the great governor of Wisconsin and what he has been doing this past week?
Absolutely. Here is Governor Tony Evers.
Hey there, Native Roots Radio. Governor Tony Evers here with my weekly update. May is Mental Health Awareness Month here in Wisconsin and across the nation to reduce the stigma and encourage folks and families to have open and honest conversations around mental health. In 2023, I declared it the year of mental health because I was worried the state of mental health in Wisconsin was a quiet, burgeoning crisis. One I still believe will have cascading effects for generations if it goes unaddressed. That's why I was proud to sign a budget that made key investments in addressing our state's mental health crisis, including $30 million for school-based mental health services to support our kids, $10 million to establish 2 crisis urgent care and observation centers for folks in crisis, and $200,000 for DATCAP's Farmer Mental Health Assistance Program. And thanks in large part to U.S. Senator Tammy Baldwin, we were also proud to announce nearly $17 million in federal funding to support operations of the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline. This is all great news, but we know there is much more work to do, and I won't stop fighting to make sure every Wisconsinite has access to quality, affordable mental health care. Remember, folks, you are not alone, and help and hope are always available. Just call or text 988 and get connected to a trained crisis counselor. May is a great reminder to take good care of ourselves and each other, and let's work together to reduce the stigma and build a healthier state for everyone. Happy Mental Health Awareness Month, Wisconsin. Thanks for listening. Back to you, Robert, and Native Roots Radio.
Wow.
Wow, Haley,
So
this seems to
important.
be a theme here, huh?
I know. I was just going to say that. Yeah, no, it's May is a very big month for awareness for a lot of things.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, one of the things that I was wondering if you could speak on, and I know we didn't talk about this at our 2-hour meeting before the show that we do prepping this great show.
Sure.
Haley laughed. What's going on with the cap and gowns? It's insane, and I know we kind of text back and forth, and my Facebook feed is blowing up about this. I wondered if you could talk a little bit about this and get our listening audience clued in on what the heck's going on here, because it's insane.
Yeah, I know. This was everywhere on my social media today and yesterday as well. So we have some unfortunate news that came out of the Hinckley and Finlayson School District in northern Minnesota yesterday. The school district and the board voted to forbid tribal drumming and singing at high school graduation next week. The superintendent stated the performance would create a legal risk if community members feel it is endorsing a religious group. This is coming from NPR News as of yesterday. So, very interesting.
Yeah, very upsetting in a religious group. It's really disheartening to hear a superintendent of any size school district talk about Native Americans as a religious group.
Yeah.
It's disheartening.
And uneducated, in my opinion.
Absolutely. And so I think floating around on Facebook too that there's lines to call up and phone lines to call in, but they're not answering phone because barraged from people all over Turtle Island, and so just share it out, right?
Yeah. Well, and it's crazy too, because people think of like Indian country as so small and we're so diverse and spread out and far away from each other. But trust me, when I say news like this spreads like wildfire through Indian country. Yeah, I mean, this is, Hinckley's school district, and they're, I can read this post here. This is another post from Facebook. This is a comment here. Everybody from May 14th, so as of a few days ago, up until May 24th at Hinckley Finlayson School or High School, sorry, they will be protesting starting at 3:10 every day. They will be marching and showing, it's very, I think people get very confused when they hear about Native Americans not being a religious group. I think, it's our culture that gets mistaken as a religion and our spirituality. Yeah, I mean, if we're going to talk about creating a legality of religion, then how are we not banning all things Christianity in the school then? I don't understand how people are still forced as students to say the Pledge of Allegiance in school, which quotes one nation under God. That sounds pretty religious to me.
Yeah, it does. And, I'd really love to find out what the backstory is because this is like coming out of nowhere. And Hinckley is not that far from the Twin Cities. And also, we've had some big positive things when it comes to smudging in classrooms, and this seems like just a big pushback of what us natives in Minnesota at least have really fought for and got.
Exactly, too. It just like really is dividing the community. It feels like, as a society, especially in this district of Hinckley, is we're going backwards in history, which is not at all something we want to do. I want to mention this too. This is another comment. It's been said we're trying to heal and trying to change the narrative by turning school and education into a positive part of our lives. And because it's been so triggering and traumatizing from when our great-grandparents and grandparents, were forced into boarding schools and assimilated and were abused in every way possible, I think, we got to be pushing on this more and more because our graduation rates of our kids just keep climbing. So I say let them sing and let them drum. And if not, they're going to do it anyways.
Yeah, really, really good perspective, Haley. Really appreciate that. Wow. And I think that, in my teaching career, I've been lucky to be teaching where the principals and administration are really open to it. As a matter of fact, we had we were in the Native American Magnet School in St. Paul, so we were lucky, but we still had some problems too. In the beginning in the 90s, with people, the old guard not wanting people to wear feathers and especially not beaded caps. They wanted it all the same, and in that there were some pictures too. Did you see? There was somebody that was trying to go to graduation this past day too, or yesterday too, that
Mm-hmm.
they didn't let her walk because of her. She had beating, and then they showed some other people who had stuff on, and they let them go.
Right. Yeah, it's very, very confusing. And too, like when you talk about, I know you started the first Native homeroom in, St. Paul, in one of our very populated schools. And, I think they did have, a high percentage of Native students. But then, like, going back to this Hinckley-Finlayson school district, according to the most recent state data, Native American students make up about 1/4 of their school population, which is quite a bit.
Yeah, definitely, because we're used to like 1% and 2% maximum, but
Yeah.
different pockets. And I know, like in Black River Falls, for instance, that school district's very large in Ho-Chunks and Natives, and but they still get a lot of backlash out there. And part of me growing my hair back in the day, and I know I've cut it not really short, but it's been cut. That I wanted to really, support our young ones that do grow their hair and
Right.
do get bullied. And this is a thing that's totally bizarre. It's coming up at the end of school, and all this stuff is happening in not a good way. So
No.
it's really good that we talk about this, Haley, and it's really good that we have Native Roots Radio to talk about it. I've talked to some people recently that just give us a lot of credit for getting stuff out like this that no one hears on the air.
Right, right. Yeah, and I guess, this decision of the Hinckley-Finlayson school board to not let students drum and sing at graduation, I guess this decision was made, obviously, unanimously, surprise, surprise, but also, also after a meeting with the community or with the board. So not only did they hear and listen to our side of the story and how we're not a religion, but they still decided against us.
Well, that goes back to what we say at the very end of the show most of the time, and that's, vote, run for office, those things. And so we have representation, and that we have a chair at the table, and, we're not being fed at the table, but and if there is not a chair for us at the table, get a folding chair and pull yourself up, because we deserve to be there.
Mhm.
And amplifying this is just, you reached out to me with this information earlier today, and this is exactly what we have to talk about. I'm kind of glad that we had a little problem with segment 3.
Right.
Yeah, because we can talk about this, and hopefully I'm sounding okay because I'm in my car and
Yeah.
pulled over. But Haley, I appreciate all you do, and getting the young perspective and the Native perspective is so important for our work here at Native Roots Radio.
Yeah, and I want to let everyone know I'm doing this for our future generations, and congrats to all the graduates, Native graduates, specifically graduating this year. It's not easy for us as a Native population with our statistics, so really, really good job. I know we have about probably 30 seconds left here, but let them sing, let them drum, and Hinckley-Finlayson School District, you guys really put out the smoke signals here, and we will be showing up.
Wow, really great way to end it. That's hopefully the mother station can pop some bumper music and get us out on that, because that was a good mic drop, Haley.
Thank you. Yeah, everyone, you're listening to Native Roots Radio. We'll be right back with Wendy Pilot in a new Sacred Animals segment. Stay with us.
Signing up for $1 bus and train rides with the Transit Assistance Program, or TAP, is quick and easy. Do it straight from your computer or phone by uploading one of the pre-approved documents listed at metrotransit.org/TAP along with a copy of your ID. We'll mail you a go-to card with a full year of discounted rides. For questions or translation help, call 612-373-3333. That's 612-373-3333.
J&S Bean Factory is a native-owned, community-supported, cozy, artsy coffee shop which offers roasted on-site beans, live music, and baked goods. Relax in the beautiful outside patio. City Pages writes, voted top 10 coffee shops. Tucked into a quiet corner of St. Paul's Highland Park neighborhood, this coffee shop roasts beans on-site from the best coffee-growing countries in the world. Located at 1518 Randolph Avenue, St. Paul. The good stuff.
Why must the world be so cold? They've gone against what was told. Thinking rape is cool? Think about it. They think it's not wrong. Violence against women, the rape, the abuse, the emotional, physical, they all hold the hate. Think about it. Is it right or wrong? What attracts you? I'm not saying no names, but you laugh. Talk about it like nothing is wrong. Think about it. They all hold the hate. Gotta stop the violence. Stop the hate. Think about it.
Sponsored by the Minnesota Indian Women's Sexual Assault Coalition.
Some people won't give you the real talk on drugs, but it's time we know the facts. Fentanyl is often laced into illicit drugs and used to make fake versions of prescription pills. You can't see it, taste it, or smell it. Suppliers mix fentanyl into their products because it's potent and cheap, and the dealer might not even know. Keep yourself and others safe by knowing the real deal on fentanyl. Get the facts. Go to realdealonfentanyl.com. This message is brought to you by the Ad Council.
Hi, I'm Tiergan.
And I'm Hadley.
We're two of the very first listeners, and we're
still listening to Native Roots Radio.
Oh,
Hey, this portion of the show is sponsored by Howling for Wolves, protecting wolves for future generations.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. Great little bumper there, Wendy.
That's right. Tiergan and Hadley.
We love those
Awesome.
guys. It's always great to see them. They're at a lot of events in the cities, a lot of native events, a lot of energy events, a lot of really cool stuff. And,
yes.
You know, it's funny. We have Haley, we have her shirts.
Yeah, the George Floyd shirts. Love them. It's one of my favorites. I wear it all the time. I don't have it on now, but yes.
I wear it in the plane a lot of times when we fly to New York.
Yeah, definitely.
We love that. Hey, Wendy, you don't have to reintroduce yourself, but it's great to have you on again for another segment. It's like old times.
I know.
You and Dr. Stately have to renegotiate your contract, it sounds like, because you've been on a lot lately, and I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's no problem. I love to be on and talk about the animals, but I just lost what I was looking at here. So earlier I was talking about like all the bugs that are being killed by all these chemicals, and that the birds are starving because they don't have a lot of bugs to eat. And not all birds eat bugs, but a lot of them do. But so some of the birds that eat bugs, I'm really surprised to hear this, and I'm a little upset about some of the bugs that they do eat, because some of them eat like butterflies and stuff. So like bluebirds, cardinals, chickadees, European starlings, you know all these birds, right? Yeah. So like cardinals, for instance, they eat beetles, grasshoppers, snails, crickets, leaf hoppers, cicadas, flies, centipedes, spiders, and butterflies. So a cardinal will eat a butterfly. I'm not so happy about that.
That's why we feed them all those peanuts and things in our backyard, so they won't eat the butterflies.
Yeah. So fly catchers, orioles, they eat a bunch of sparrows, swallows. Some of these I can't pronounce. I'm not mentioning them. Warbles, woodpeckers, and wrens. So what you want to do is you want to attract these type of birds, right, to your yard, so they eat all the bugs. So you want to have shelter for them. You want to have water for them. You want to have shade for them. You want to have some seeds for them. You want to have all these things. So we have tons of birds in our backyard, just because I even just put the seeds out for them.
Yeah.
And
Blue Jays, Cardinals, which for me as a little kid, I've seen them, but rarely see them. We see them 3 or 4 times a day now.
I know. And we also saw, so by accident, I bought 2 bags of peanuts. So I buy peanuts in the shell, and I throw them out, and the squirrels, open them up and eat them. And even the crows come and get the peanuts in the shell and like put them in the bird bath and like soften them up and crack them open and
Fun
eat
to
them.
watch.
But by accident, I bought peanuts for wildlife without the shell, so they're just free.
So any
peanuts.
wildlife.
So any wildlife. So I threw a bunch out, and Robert then sends me these pictures of these huge raccoons.
Never seen them this
in
big.
our yard. Oh my God, they were so big. Even our next door neighbor, when she saw me, she was like, "Oh my God, Wendy, we saw 2 big giant raccoons in your backyard." So
Well,
I guess that
we
they
have
like-
those true trees outside, and they're kind of close to our 4-season porch, and
Yeah.
also your studio. And I was
Mhm.
looking out the window at your studio, and they were climbing up the trees, and I went, "Holy mackerel! If they got thumbs, they could open up this window here and come in and join me." I got a little frightened.
They were gigantic.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm excited. We saw Jane Goodall.
Oh,
yeah, right.
That was awesome.
So Jane Goodall, I love her. And Leonardo DiCaprio are going to produce a live action film told from a dog and a wolf's perspective, and it's called Howl. So I'm really excited to find out. I want to find out when that's coming out and where it will be playing.
Maybe
and
we can get Leonardo on.
I'd like to get Jane. Never mind Leonardo.
Yeah.
I'd rather have Jane Goodall on. But they hope that this film will help change perceptions of the big bad wolf. So I'm looking forward to that. I have that kind of bookmarked in my my stuff here. So here's another good point. I find all these little tidbits on social media. But if you lose your dog, they say make sure to alert your local postal workers and delivery drivers and garbage collectors, because they're in the neighborhood all the time.
Yeah.
And they could help spot and help you get your dog back and spot your dog.
Remember when we lost Mickey?
I do. I'll never
The little
forget
girl
that.
called you, or little boy called you?
Little boy, yeah. Oh my God, that was like
What'd he say?
one of the worst days of my life. I think I cried for 15 hours straight. We were away, and we had somebody house sitting, and there was a storm, a thunder and lightning storm, and we don't know what happened, but Mickey, our Chihuahua, got out. He was probably trying to find us.
One job.
Yeah, one job. Like
Watch the dog.
watch the dog and make sure the gate is kept closed. That's all you have to do. Like keep the dog alive and keep the gate closed.
Yeah, keep the dog alive.
So we drove home
all the
from
way
Madison, Wisconsin,
Yeah,
and
that night
to a lost dog.
we didn't know what to do.
We didn't
and
know what to do. How long ago was that? That was a long time ago, before like social media.
I
We
want to
didn't
say
have
2006.
2006. Yeah, so that was a long time ago. But you got on your computer and made posters with pictures of Mickey and our phone number and
Yep.
our information, and I'm telling you, put it in everybody's mailbox
Yep.
within a 8-block radius around our house.
What's interesting too is that I don't think we wanted to go down the street, because we were just trying to do a couple blocks each side of our house, and I think we went on the other side of Cretan.
Yeah.
And we didn't think that was going to be, and we put it on a big telephone pole. I don't even think we put it in their house.
That's right. That's right, Robert. You put it on a telephone pole across a pretty busy street.
Yeah, we never thought he would have gone across that street.
Yeah, and we were just out all night long, just trying to calling him, driving around, looking around. I mean, he's a little Chihuahua. It's like finding a needle in a haystack. He could be anywhere behind a little bush. You're never going to find him. He's not like a big, great Pyrenees dog that's going to be out in the open. But yeah, the next day, I don't think I slept all night, and the phone rang. We had a landline back then, and the phone rang.
But it was a wireless landline.
Oh, I don't. Yeah, it was a wireless landline. I picked up the phone, and it was a little boy, and he was like, "Hi, I think I have your dog." And I was like, "What? Oh my gosh!" And you had just left because you had to
go
get back
to Madison.
Yep. And then I called you, and you turned around and came back, and I gave you the address, and you went to pick up Mickey, and then you came home. Oh my God.
He was so
When
worn out
I
and
saw
dirty.
his face, he was so happy to see me. He was
Oh.
crying. And then when we got him in the house, he drank a lot of water. He was all dirty. And I was just like, all right, just leave him alone. I'm not going to, you know.
And then you got him chipped
clean him.
immediately.
Yeah, I got him microchipped. And oh my gosh. But I remember him. He was like so happy to be home. Like you could tell he was just laying there. And every now and then he'd just take a big sigh and a deep breath like, you know, and I was just like, oh, Mickey, you're home. And he would wag his tail. I was so upset. So like Wanda, literally, she's microchipped.
Yeah.
She has a collar on that I bought that has, what is it? It's like a Bluetooth GPS.
Yes.
So I could find, no matter where she is, I could find her on the map.
You like looking at it too.
And I do. Every now and then I say, make sure this thing's working. And I also have just a little collar with her name and our information on it. So she's like, she has every bit of information on her.
Well,
if she goes missing.
Whenever I see anybody's animal pass away, I always put in Facebook family and put a heart because they totally are our family.
Yeah, definitely our family.
Absolutely. Hey, thanks, Wendy. Hey,
yeah, absolutely. My pleasure.
You've been listening to Native Roots Radio Presents I'm Awake. We're still here. We are the 7th generation.
Free Leonard Peltier.
J&S Teen Factory is a Native-owned community